What is up, everyone? Crunchy Frog here, and today I just wanted to give you a little more of an informal commentary. I don't have as detailed of a script, but basically, the other day, as you may know, Call of Duty, Activision, whoever it was, actually was able to patch the servers on a lot of the old Call of Duty games and made them playable again. If you didn't know, for the longest time, it was pretty much impossible to find a match in there between the low player counts, and anyone that was playing just couldn't manage to get linked up because of various issues with the netcode and the servers not really being up to par. So they went in there and changed it. Some people have been saying it's a possibility that it has to do with the Microsoft merger, that maybe all the old games have the possibility of coming to Game Pass, and so they're trying to clean out the cobwebs and get them ready for people to possibly stick their feet back in. Whatever the case may be, old games such as COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1, all of those games are now playable again. And because of that, so many people are jumping in, and it's almost as easy to find a game now as it was back in these games' heyday. So I managed to actually find my Xbox 360 discs out of an old bin in the back of my closet, dusted them off, and got them playing. And I have just been having so much fun. So I wanted to put out a video today kind of detailing my experience, and really see, are these games, do they hold up still, right? Are they still fun, or do we just have rose-tinted glasses from the past, reminiscing on our time as a childhood and everything like that? And yeah, so in this video, I'll just basically break that down for you guys and let you know what you're missing out on if you haven't already dove back in. So obviously, one of the biggest things with this is that these games bring back so many memories, right? Every time you play a match, I know I was playing Modern Warfare 2, which, as many of you know, it was my most played game possibly of all time for a very long time. Back when it came out, that's all I did, and those summers were before I had jobs, right? So my summer was actually a summer break. School would end beginning of June, and pretty much up until the middle end of August, I had nothing better to do than sit in front of my computer and play Modern Warfare 2. So obviously it brings back so many memories. I remember hearing the announcer saying, like, "Take no prisoners, comrades," and the music play, and it just took me back in time. It was a literal time traveling device. It was a time machine back to 2010, 2011, years like that, before I had really any responsibilities, and I could be a kid for 3 months every single summer, and I was excited for school to be out, and just the little things that it brings up, the tiniest little things. I remember texting this person at this time, or I remember making plans to do this on this day when I was playing on this map. Just the crazy little things that come up while you're playing these games. And I do gotta say, if you were around for the golden age of COD, if you played these during their original launch windows, going back through and playing them now that it's actually possible to find a match and there's people to play with, I recommend 10,000%, even if it's just to relive some of those old memories, to maybe run up a certain staircase and have a flashback to maybe remembering a time when, you remember sitting at your best friend's house during a snow break or something, a snow day at school or something, and you remember playing on that map at their house, something like that. I just highly recommend getting into it just from a pure nostalgia standpoint. Like, no matter how good these games are, and we'll get into whether they're good or not, but just that moment alone, especially if you're like old like me, or even older, into your 30s or 40s now, or whatever the case may be, like, I heavily invite you to step back in time 14 years or longer if you're playing like COD 4 or something, and just really relive those memories, because that's a really great feeling to have. And I think we all need it once in a while, especially, like I said, if you're like me, you feel yourself getting older day after day, and it's nice to kind of relive those childhood memories, even if it's just for a few hours on your Xbox after work. So with that out of the way, how does the game actually feel, right? Besides it making us feel like little kids again, how does it actually feel? And I gotta say, it feels just so much more simpler and just easier to play, right? Obviously, there's been a lot of quality of life improvements along the way, better sensitivity controls and more ways for you to fine tune your experience. And those are all missed. And, that is one thing. But the game just feels so much more stripped down and just what made COD fun. for the last 14 years, and I'm basing this off of Modern Warfare 2 versus the new Modern Warfare 2, they've iterated and they've tried throwing this on and tacking this bit on and changing how this feels and changing how that works here and there every single year for 14 years now. And it just starts to feel less and less like COD. And obviously it does still feel like COD playing Modern Warfare 2, this newest one, the new version of Modern Warfare 2, still very much feels like a Call of Duty game, but it just feels distinctly different than the Golden Age. And just these games, the older games, just feel so much more simpler and to the point, and there's not a whole bunch of extra junk or garbage, around, especially in terms of the physics of the gun. And I know where we're at now is more, realistic and gritty and, obviously much better from a tech perspective. But the old movement system, how, everything just felt simpler, more stripped down, and just more fun. And to go along with that, the biggest thing, the elephant in the room, there's no skill-based matchmaking. So the other night I was playing, and once I got the my sea legs under me, and I got reacquainted with the game and the controls and the guns and stuff like that after 4 or 5 matches, I had a long string of positive or super really good games. Matter of fact, I was able to say the classic, "I'll get off when I finally go negative." And it wasn't for like 9 or 10 matches that I finally did manage to go negative. I went like 17 and 18 or something and forced myself to get off to start getting ready for bed because the matchmaking algorithm and the game itself wasn't constantly fighting me and punching me in the face every time I did well, right? It didn't feel like it was holding my hand through the experience and making me have bad games right after good games and then eventually tossing me a bone when it thought I was about to quit. And these new games are just basically boiled down to a matchmaking algorithm that they've deemed the best possible scenario for you sticking along and spending the most amount of money in the shop. And Call of Duty has really evolved into just the game plays you nowadays. It really feels like that. And I could go on for an entire video. And matter of fact, one of the upcoming COD videos in the next couple of weeks will be about that. But suffice it to say, the old games just, they made a game, you played it, and you enjoyed it, right? And nowadays, it's just like the game plays you. So one of the biggest factors there, again, no skill-based matchmaking. And I know a lot of devs have come out and said, well, there was skill-based matchmaking, but very light and usually just to balance teams, stuff like that. So it is kind of still there, right? I'm probably not playing the worst players in the world or the absolute best players in the world, but I mean, the scope is so massive. And with that, you find games so quickly. I know Nero Cinema just did a video where, he was able to join 5 different multiplayer matches on 5 different Call of Duty games in the time that it took to find one match in Modern Warfare 2022. And it's crazy to think. Back in the day, it was just, hey, let's find some players close to you. I don't really care how good or bad they are. Let's just get them into a lobby with you. And because of that, your actual skill was able to shine through, right? You didn't have to worry about constantly sweating. If you wanted to take a casual and you're a pretty good gamer, you could still probably slack off, maybe listen to music. I know I was bumping best hits of 2010 to kind of get myself in the mood today. I was listening to music, talking to my friend, joking, laughing, and I still went positive. Because I didn't need to be laser focused, going up against kids who are my skill level or higher, that had been matched, perfectly picked from around the United States to match up with me at any given time. It's just whatever 12 people were closest to me from a ping perspective, and that's it. Whether they're good, bad, horrible, or otherwise. And that just felt so incredible. Right? If I really wanted to dial up, dial in, start sound whoring and just laser focus and start sweating, guess what? I'd go 23-4, 23-2. You know what I mean? I'd start going for high streaks. And then whenever I want to take my foot off the gas and just kind of chill out, I still had decent games because I'm a decent player. So I wasn't fighting the algorithm the whole time. It was just so nice. And it makes me really miss how these games were made. And it's kind of sad thinking that no future COD game will ever feel like this. And that's a reality that we really have to face in terms of, the devs have just gone too far down the rabbit hole. And again, these games are now just money printing machines. They're not even really games or works of art so much. They're just algorithms hidden beneath, cooler graphics every year and soldiers with cool little skull masks on, but underneath it's just a money printing machine, and that is it. And while these old games were juggernauts in terms of sales and everything, you could tell that they were a game first and foremost and meant to be fun, and they're just never going to be made that way again. Not unless something super drastic happens or a disruptor comes into the space like X Define or a game like it that puts fun and excitement and just a general good user experience above everything else. And I just can't see that happening in COD, possibly ever, if not for a very long time. So, all of this is to say, at the beginning of this section, I talked about, is it just nostalgia? Was it just the fact that I could remember getting my first cell phone the same day that I got Modern Warfare 2 and texting all my friends and all my crushes and stuff? No. No, it's not just nostalgia. It's not just remembering all those cool memories or, remembering what songs you liked back then or the place you were in life or anything like that, the fun nights we had with friends. They're just legitimately good, fun games. And, we'll talk about some of the things that aren't so great here in a second. But overall, I expected to kind of be let down or disappointed when I booted these up. I kind of expected to not have fun or kind of be like, damn, I guess these weren't as good as I thought. And that just really, frankly, did not happen. At all. And so, again, I highly recommend. I don't know how long this trend will last. I don't know how long people will stay in the servers or if they're going to break the servers again if this deal doesn't go through or whatever the case. But if you can get these games, they're all on sale at the time of me making this video for like $10 or $15 each. Obviously, you could probably find one at GameStop for like $8 in the bargain bin and possibly coming to GameStop. Please get your hand on them. And if not for you, do it for your 14 or 13 or 12-year-old self that used to play these until 3 a.m. in the morning because they're still really fun and they hold up really well. Now, with that being said, not everything holds up fantastically, and obviously this is stuff that would probably all be covered with a remaster or a remake, kind of thing. But the first off is the UI is obviously terrible and kind of really devolved from what we're used to. There's a lot of clunkiness to it. It doesn't look that great and stuff like that. There's definitely some elements that they do better than recent CODs. Map voting, looking at you, bud. But everything else is kind of showing its age, unfortunately, in terms of the user experience and the UI and the menus and stuff like that. So that was a bummer to see, especially like trying to check camo challenges or change your camo in Modern Warfare 2. You have to click like 10 times the buttons that you would in Modern Warfare, say 2022, or even Black Ops 2, a couple years after this game was made. So that's kind of unfortunate. And then obviously the graphics are starting to date themselves. I still think that Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 2 both still look pretty good, but the resolution is kind of fuzzy and the textures aren't that great and the lighting is baked in and not that great. And obviously, things have less dynamic feel to them. They're very baked in and static. And so that's something that you notice, especially someone like me who kind of looks at video game graphics a lot when he starts a new game. So they are starting to date themselves. But it's not like you're playing a PS2 game or like an N64 game, right? They still hold up pretty well. And after a few matches, you hardly even realize it. But something to keep note of. And again, that's something that a remaster would really fix. And then obviously stuff like the netcode and hit registration isn't always the greatest on games this old, and the servers obviously aren't going to be the best servers in the world because they're for old games that only a few thousand people are playing, stuff like that. And obviously, again, there's still broken weapons, broken perks, glitches, unbalanced stuff and everything, especially in Modern Warfare 2 that you have to deal with because none of these games are getting a patch, obviously. So that's just kind of where the chips lie. So you do kind of step back into that. I think we're all spoiled now with the fact that 20 million patches go out every month every time someone complains about a weapon being too overpowered or a perk not working correctly or something like that. I think we're very spoiled now that we expect that all to be fixed within the span of 24 hours or else we take to Twitter and scream at people, right? Back in the day, that would go on several months or possibly never ever get fixed and to this day are still broken or not working as intended or super overpowered, stuff like that. So that's stuff you have to contend with, but honestly it's part of the charm for a lot of these games, and nothing's broken beyond repair, being that the servers are fixed and stuff like that. So much of that is just kind of a nuisance rather than an actual problem. So overall, in conclusion, playing these games more than anything have made me really want a remaster, like a full, well-done remaster like COD 4 remaster was, maybe without the loot boxes in that case. But just an overall graphics haul, a couple patches here and there, maybe add in 4 or 5 new maps and 1 or 2 more guns or something like that. Just give us a little more flavor to play with. Expand out the game while having it still feel like these old games, while bringing some of the new quality of life features there. But unfortunately, I know we'll never see that, right? Because if we do get a remaster, they'll put in a battle pass and they'll put in 37 skins. And instead of playing, Op 4 versus, the Marine Corps or whatever, you'll be playing as, the Terminator versus Snoop Dogg again, like we did in Vanguard and stuff like that. So I know that they would definitely muck up a remaster, so I'm kind of not wishing for that. But it makes me really want an actual good remaster. Whether we ever see that or not is, remains to be seen. And it also does make me just kind of lament that those days of COD are just gone. Like I talked about before, games are just built differently now. Not just COD, but across the entire industry. And Call of Duty specifically has been the biggest kind of villain in that story in terms of being built, like I said, literally just an algorithm, for your quote unquote max engagement, just being wrapped in a pretty skin every single year. And it gets worse and worse every year. The skill-based matchmaking and now the engagement optimized matchmaking and everything like that, all these different systems that they're putting in place behind the scenes, it's just pushing it further and further down the road and down the rabbit hole. And it does make me sad that the old days of COD will never be here. This will never be a game first. This will never be built for fun or enjoyment or a solid user experience. This will always just be built to print money for Activision, and that's that. And that's really sad. Again, I'll probably do an entire video on that, but it's something worth noting that if you're already kind of feeling that about recent games, going back and playing old games that aren't like that is just going to be 10 times worse for you. It also kind of makes it hard to get hype for the new COD. I already kind of wasn't planning on buying the new Call of Duty, which is rumored to be Modern Warfare 3. At the time of this video, we haven't actually gotten a confirmation yet, but it kind of makes me hard to get makes it hard, to get hype for the new game, because at the end of the day, I can't, I know that it will be nothing like this, and that is very, very unfortunate. So it just kind of is a buzzkill. I already wasn't planning on getting it, but now it just makes it even worse. And then finally, it just makes me really miss being a kid. As of recording this, again, it is the summer. It's the middle of July. And ordinarily, if I was 11, 10, 12, 13 years old, I would just be sitting at home, going to bed whenever I wanted, waking up whenever I wanted, having the house to myself all day, just playing games and going to the pool with friends and then coming back and playing these games and talking with friends all night and stuff like that. And I really can't do that anymore. Obviously, I can play when I get home from work, but I realistically kind of have a bedtime again if I want to be even remotely productive at work. And, you just can't ever go back to those times, and it's kind of sad. So, it does suck playing these older games and taking yourself back in that time machine that I talked about. But I think at the end of the day, it's definitely worth it. And I'm so excited they fixed the servers, and I'm having an absolute blast. I'll probably be playing these games, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 3, games like that for at least the next few weeks as we kind of have hit a dead spot for Modern Warfare 2022. So with that being said, guys, that's about it for today. If you enjoy content like this, if you enjoy Call of Duty breakdowns and commentaries and discussions, stuff like that, definitely leave a like and subscribe for more. I am trying to post more and more frequently going forward, breaking down various aspects of COD and giving you guys some thought pieces on that as well. So I appreciate you guys' support, and until the next one, have a good one.